Hi everyone, Carol Mahoney here from Unbound Growth. And I'm actually really excited on this fine Monday because we just got done our first live sales management lab, where sales managers come and talk with other sales managers about the challenges and obstacles that they face in helping their teams to go above and beyond quota. And that's exactly what we talked about today, above and beyond quota, which means helping our salespeople to identify those personally meaningful goals that are going to stretch them outside of their comfort zone so that they can accomplish things they've never accomplished before. Why is this so important? And more importantly, why do we put it off? Why do we avoid these kinds of conversations, which are so crucial to change? It's work. We know it's work. And so we tend to put it off. Or we think, you know what, they have a quota. That should be enough to motivate them. Meeting your quota for your salespeople is about as motivating as them getting up in the morning excited to pay their taxes and student loans. It's something we have to do to not end up in jail or to keep our jobs. It's not the thing that's going to compel us to make changes that we might be a little bit uncomfortable with. Your main job as a manager is as a coach. And as a coach, you're trying to help your salespeople change behaviors. And as cognitive behavioral therapy will tell us, change can't happen until a personally meaningful stretch goal has been identified. And a quota isn't it. Now, I'll share a few examples with you of salespeople who've identified some personally meaningful goals that propelled them to go above and beyond their quotas. One salesperson that I worked with wanted to be able to make an additional $50,000 in a year so that their wife could have some treatments done so that she could get pregnant because they'd been trying to have a baby. Now that is a personally meaningful goal. Other salespeople that I've worked with were on plan. They were about to get fired. So meeting quota for them was probably pretty important. Except what I saw happen is that the more they focused on meeting their quota, the more hung up they got, the more scared they got, and they weren't willing to take the risks or make the changes that would actually get them there. So how do you help your salespeople get past and aim past what their quotas are? There's actually a 5-step process that I'll share with you in just a few minutes. But before I do that, I need to say this. Sales managers, if you don't believe that a personally meaningful goal is important to you, your salespeople are 1,000% more likely to believe the same thing. I did some independent research and analysis on data of salespeople and found that this was true. And not only that, I also found that managers who held beliefs that supported personally meaningful goals, their salespeople were 355% more likely to hold those same beliefs. What you can take away from this is that if you don't have those, it's going to have a much bigger impact on your team. Now, how do you get to those goals? How do you help your salespeople find the things that are going to make them do the things they normally wouldn't? There's a 5-step process that was actually identified by the Dominican University. And in it, they found that people who followed these 5 steps were significantly more likely to reach their highly outrageous goals than anyone else. The first step is actually relatively simple. And this is a step that you can start in the interviewing process if you're getting ready to hire salespeople. And that is, have them think about it. Have them daydream about it. Have them talk with their spouses and family and close ones about what does it mean for them to achieve a certain thing. Now, maybe it's that they want to have a certain lifestyle. Maybe it's that they want to be able to prove themselves. There is no good or bad goal, only what's personally meaningful to them. After having your salespeople think about and daydream about their goals, the very next step is to write them down. And not just write down what the goal is, but in description. I want them to visualize what it's going to feel like, what it's going to smell like, what it's going to look like when they get there. Whatever there is, whether it's buying a house, going on vacation, or proving that they can do it. And that's another important point, because the very next step after thinking about it and writing it down is creating action commitments to it. Any goal, whether it's intangible or tangible, can be quantified. And in quantifying it, you're also identifying what actions do I need to take, what steps do I need to take, what disciplines do I need to develop in order to get there. It's not a question of if, it's a question of how. Together with those goals that you've written down and that you've created action commitments with, your next step for your salespeople is to then share it with someone who's supportive. Hopefully that's you as their manager, but that can also be someone on their team. It can be their spouse. It can be a peer group of some kind. As long as they have outwardly shared it and not kept it hidden and close to their chest, because then again, there's that whole, well, what if I fail? Then nobody will know. I don't have to worry about it. Not only do they need to share it with them, but they also need to make weekly reports to that person. Again, this is a great way you can actually build relationship with your teammate and actually have your team build relationship with each other. I had one manager that not only shared their personal goals with their team as a way to show the example, but had them also share it with each other. And every week they had a small round table of, here's how the progress that I've made towards my personal goal. It was never about the quota. The quota happened because their goal was bigger than their quota. So take those 5 steps. Have them think about it, write them down, create action commitments, share it with someone else, and then make weekly reports to that person. Those 5 steps will make your salespeople significantly more likely to not only reach their personal goals, but to blow past their quotas. There's a simple worksheet that you can actually use to help walk you through this process that I'll share with you at the comments in this video. But remember, you are the example. Start with yourself. If you can do this process with yourself and even with your superiors, it's going to make it that much easier for your salespeople to do it. And then 2019 will be the year of a quota busting team. All right, join me next week. We're going to be talking about how to hire the right salespeople to have more predictable quota attainment and be able to build those superhero teams. See us next week, Monday at noon Eastern Time. Bye, everybody.